Ayodhya Kand, chapter 75. So far, we have covered 48 different types of sins that the person who has sent Rama into exile has incurred according to Bharatha, and we are going to continue with that. Symptom 49 is mentioned in verse 52. Ritu snatam satim bharyam ritu kalanurodhinam ativarteta dushtatma yasya aryo anumate gata. May the person who counseled the exile of my esteemed brother acquire the sin of the evil-minded one who ignores his chaste wife, who, having bathed after her course of menstruation, approaches him for union, having regard for the season favorable for procreation. Ritu means a season. But here, Ritu Snatam means having a bath after the course of menstruation. In Uttarakhand, Lakshmana talks about Ashwamedha Yajna that Indra conducted after he acquired Brahmahatya dosha, that is, just after he killed Vritrasura. Brahmahatya dosha personified comes out and is distributed into 4, and 1/4 of that goes to young women for about 3 days a month, and that is a sign of menstruation. Now, in Bhagavad Gita 7.11, Lord Krishna says, Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharata rishapa. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. And in the purport it is mentioned that sex life according to religious principles or dharma should be for the propagation of children and not otherwise. The responsibility of parents is then to make their offspring Krishna conscious. Now, one of the 4 regulative principles is no illicit sex, because cleanliness or saucham is destroyed by it. Therefore, sex outside of marriage or for any purpose other than procreation is wrong. Sex for pleasure compels one to identify with the body and prevents one from understanding Krishna consciousness. The scriptures teach that sex is the most powerful force binding us to the material world. Anyone serious about advancing in Krishna consciousness should therefore abstain from or regulate sexual activity according to the scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that sexual union for conceiving a child to be raised in God consciousness is an act of devotion to Him. We should also not forget that in Manu Samhita it is mentioned that a woman is protected by her father in her childhood, by her husband in her youth, and by her son in her old age. This is basically part of Varnashrama Dharma. Now, wielding all this knowledge, let us go back to the verse 52 of Ayodhya Kand, chapter 75, and figure out what Bharata is trying to say. Bharata essentially means that the person who sent his brother into exile is not following Varnashrama Dharma, because it is essential for a woman to be protected by her son, and that is possible only when she conceives a child. Now, if the husband refuses to do that, he is termed as a dushtatma. He is an evil-minded person. Why? Because he is not following religious principles. Therefore, Bharata says that the person who sent his brother into exile is not following religious principles. This is the basic definition of sin. Symptom 50 is mentioned in verse 53. Dharma dharan parityajya paradharini shevatam tyaktya dharma ratir mudho yasya aryo anumate gata. May the one who counseled the exile of my esteemed brother acquire the sin in the same way a foolish person acquires who abandons his righteous conduct and forsakes his rightfully married wife and resorts to another man's wife. Now, this is a very interesting sin. This is one of the many reasons why Rama wanted to kill Ravana, because of his unrighteous conduct. Ravana let go of his righteous, lawfully wedded wife, and he wanted to get married to Sita, who was already Rama's wife. Now, people have constantly questioned whether Vibhishana was correct in abandoning his brother and joining his brother's enemy, which is really absurd because Vibhishana always walks on the righteous path. In the final battle between Lakshmana and Indrajit, Vibhishana accompanies him, and Indrajit questions Vibhishana's conduct. Vibhishana says, Parasva harane yuktam paradhara bimarshanam tyajam ahur duratmanam veshma prajvalitam yata. The wise men say that an evil-natured fellow who is intent on taking away another man's property and lustfully touches another man's wife is worth shunning as one abandons a house in flames. So the term paradara is the same in both in the chapter in Yuddhakand as well as in this particular verse. Dharmadaran is the wife who is legal, and Paradaran is someone else's wife. So, discarding one's own wife is equivalent to a divorce, which is not there in the Vedic system. Because in the Vedic culture, during marriage, it is promised in front of Agni, who is the witness, that the two souls will be together for this lifetime. Let's not forget that Krishna has said in 529, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the beneficiary of all sacrifices, which also includes a marriage sacrifice. We have already learned that fire is the mouth of Vishnu. And therefore, you're literally promising in front of God that you are going to stay married to a particular wife or a particular husband. Therefore, how is it possible to divorce? So a man is not supposed to let go of his legally wedded wife and take up someone else's wife. So this is a mudha behavior, a foolish behavior. That is how Bharata labels this sort of an action. Extreme foolishness, extreme adharma, and he is a huge sinner. This is how Bharata categorizes Ravana's future sin. And Bharata says that the person who conspired to send his brother into exile has committed a sin similar to what Ravana is going to do. That is, try to enjoy with someone else's wife. Because he has let go of his dharmic conduct. Tyaktya dharma ratir. He has forsaken his love for piety. Symptom 51 is mentioned in verse 54. Vipralupta prajatasya dushkritam brahmanasya yat tadeva pratipadyeta yasya aryo anumate gata. May the person who counseled the exile of my esteemed brother incur the sin of a childless brahmana who conducts evil deeds. So the clause is dushkritam. That means a person who does bad deeds. In the 11th chapter of the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, It is very clearly mentioned that the principal occupations for a Brahmana are worshipping the deity, teaching others how to worship the deity, studying the Vedic literatures, teaching the Vedic literatures, accepting charity from others, and again giving charity to others. A Brahmana should make his livelihood from these six occupational duties. Therefore, if a Brahmana deviates from any of these six occupational duties, then he is a dushkritam. He is not fulfilling his role as a proper member of the Varnashrama society. Now, let's say that this person has committed a particular sin and he has gone off to hell to expiate his sinful activities. If he has a child who has been taught the right things, the child or the son actually will conduct Shraddha ceremonies and will redeem his father from the hell. That's why a son is called Putra, the one to redeem the father from the hell. But Bharata is saying that this person, this Brahmana who has done some very evil deeds, does not even have a son to help him out. Therefore, Bharata says that the person who conspired to send his beloved brother into exile is a huge sinner from which there is no methods of expiation. Symptoms 52 and 53 are included in verse 55. Paniya dushake papam tathaiva vishadayake yatta deka sarlabatam yasya aryo anumate gata. May he with whose counsel my elder brother has gone into exile incur the sin that is attached to a person who pollutes drinking water and to the person who administers poison. So let's take the first symptom, that is symptom 52, that is paniya dushake papam. The sin attached to a person who pollutes drinking water. In Bhagavad Gita 7.8, Krishna says, Rasoham apshu kaunteya. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water. Now, in the purport of Bhagavad Gita 7.8, it is said, the taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink seawater because the pure taste of water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste, and this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste, and the personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying tasty water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Supreme. Now, when we alter the taste of pure drinking water, we cannot quench another man's thirst. Just as salt, when mixed with pure drinking water, becomes undrinkable, similarly, anything else that defies the taste of the sweet drinking water becomes a pollution. And over here, Bharata is not just meaning naturally available pollutants like salt. It's anything else. By just showering some garbage or something like that on pure drinking water, a living entity is denied the taste of pure water. Is denied the taste of drinking the pure water that the Lord has kindly supplied, and thereby glorifying the Lord. So that is a huge sin. So Bharata is saying that the person who has sent his brother into exile is a sinner like the one who prevents a human being or any living entity from drinking the water that the Lord has supplied and thereby glorifying him. The 53rd type of sin is Vishadayake, or a person who administers poison. We have already learned from Bhagavad Gita 1.36, the purport says that according to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors: a poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps a wife. Vishadayake, or administering poison, is one of these 6 kinds of aggressors. Because they are very sinful, they can be killed without incurring any type of sin. And therefore, Bharata says that the person who sent his brother into exile is a huge sinner, like the person who gives poison to others. Symptoms 54 and 55 are mentioned in verse 56. Brahmana yodhyatam pujam vihantu kalushendriya balavatsam cha gam dogdu yasya aryo anumate gata. May he with whose counsel my esteemed brother has gone to exile incur the sin attached to a person with befouled senses who disturbs the offerings of worship kept ready for a Brahmana, and who milks the cow having a young calf. Symptom 54 is Brahmana yodhyatan pujan, the items of worship necessary for a Brahmana. Vihantu means destroy. Kalush indriya. Indriya means senses, and with bad senses, befouled senses. So destroying an item of worship is not correct. And on top of that, if it is meant for a Brahmana to worship or for offering a Brahmana, it's definitely not right. And that person incurs a lot of sin. The second one, that is symptom 55, is Balavatsan Chagan Dogdu. Balavatsan means a young calf, and a calf is absolutely necessary for a cow to give milk. The sattvic way of milking a cow is that the calf has its fill, and then if there is anything left over, the milkman can milk the cow and have the milk. Milking a cow while starving its young calf is not allowed. A cow is a mother, she has to feed her child. And therefore, Bharata is saying that the person who milks a cow with a young calf without giving the milk to the calf first is a huge sinner. In the earlier chapters of Ayodhya, we see Kaushalya wailing that Rama is her calf and she is the cow, and she is going to follow Rama just as how a cow follows her little calf. And we see that bond between a cow and a calf, which is akin to the bond that Mother Kaushalya has with Rama. So if a person does not allow the cow to feed her little calf, then we are tearing a mother and child away. And that is a huge sin. And Bharata is now echoing the sentiments of Kaushalya and says that the person who sent Rama into exile has committed the sin of tearing a mother and child away.